What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we are back to talk about a pair of Keyforge cards that are a little bit weird and a little bit confusing. I spend a lot of time on the Facebook group, etc., and I see what people are saying, and there are some cards that come around where people are just asking questions a lot. Bad Penny was one of them. We did a video about that, link in the description. But a pair of cards I want to talk about today are Safe Place and Pocket Universe. These are cards I've seen people having a chat about, and they're also both rare cards, which means that they're not going to come up that often. They're not cards you're going to see that often. They come up in about 4% of decks. So it's probably fair to have a quick look at them, what they are, what they do, how we use them. Now, they are very slightly different because Safe Place gets an Ember bonus. It's literally it. They read exactly the same. They both say you may spend Ember on Safe Place or Pocket Universe when forging keys. And then they both have an action, move one Ember from your pool to Safe Place or Pocket Universe. So, okay. Don't quite know why Safe Place gets you an Ember bonus, but it's just the house as a whole. Apparently, Shadows needed some more Ember bonus. Logos didn't. Anyway, let's leave that for the time being. So essentially, you can move Ember from your pool to Pocket Universe, use this to forge a key. Why would you want to? And the reason is extremely simple. It's not in your pool of Ember. And there are a whole bunch of cards that will affect your pool of Ember. One of which, straight off the bat, is almost every Shadows card ever. A little while ago, I made a video about Shadows stealing Ember, and a bunch of people said quite rightly, well, yes, of course Shadows steal Ember. And then we saw the Vault Tour in Eindhoven last weekend, and I streamed a bunch of games from that, and we saw that, quite frankly, Shadows steals Ember. It's what they do, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I could give you a million different examples. I could tell you that Urchin, when you play it, steals an Ember. I could teach you that Fagin, when it reaps, lets you recover an Urchin to let you steal a little bit more Ember. I could tell you that Moon Cursor steals an Ember when it fights, and I could tell you that Noddy of Thief has an action which steals an Ember. I could tell you that Dodger steals an Ember when it fights. But you see where I'm going with this, don't you, ladies and gentlemen? There's just a million different cards that do that. And this doesn't let them do that. Any cards that are on your Pocket Universal Safe Place, I'm going to be talking mostly about Pocket Universe because I like logos more than Shadows, unashamedly so, but I could be talking about either. And any Ember on there cannot be stolen in the usual way. When your opponent is stealing Ember, and yes, that does also go for capturing Ember, think things like Bruno, Old Bruno, or Charette, both of which steal Ember when played. Yeah, they are basically the same card. Charette captures free Ember when you play it, and Old Bruno captures free Ember when you play it. Although Old Bruno does have elusive, but Charette has one more power. Incidentally, Old Bruno is better. I feel quite strongly about this. Hey ho, the point is your opponent cannot steal or capture Ember from Pocket Universe. So it is worth moving the Ember over. Now, there are a couple of, frankly, over-the-top, phenomenal uses for this. And it's cards that you should be expecting. It's things like Bait and Switch and Effervescent Principle, which really do represent kind of the pinnacle of this particular card. So, Bait and Switch here says, if your opponent has more Ember than you, steal one. Repeat this card's effect if your opponent still has more Ember than you. So let's say, for argument's sake, you've got 3 Ember and your opponent's got 5. You get one of their Ember, you've both got 4, you're good. But now let's say that you've got no Ember because you've gone and put 3 Ember onto a Pocket Universe and your opponent's got 5. Well, now you get 3 and leave them with 2. That is a heck of a difference, ladies and gentlemen. That is a huge, huge difference. And while we're talking about logos, and yeah, Bait and Switch probably would be better with Safe Place because you can literally move one over because it's a Shadow's turn and then play Bait of Switch because it's a Shadow's turn. But logos have Pocket Universe and logos also have Effervescent Principle. And Effervescent Principle, each player loses half their Ember, rounding down, gain 1 chain. Now, it's still not a huge amount here, but let's say you've got 4 Ember. You play this, you lose 2 Ember. But then let's say you use Pocket Universe. You move 1 Ember over, then you've got 3 Ember. You play Effervescent Principle, 1.5, round it down, you lose 1 Ember. That is significantly better, ladies and gentlemen. That saves you an Ember. And I know we're talking about an Ember here or an Ember there, but come on. How many games have you played where you won by 1 Ember or you lost by 1 Ember? You had enough Ember to win the game and your opponent made you lose 1 Ember. There was one of the games I streamed. It was round 4 from the Eindhoven Vault Tour this past weekend. Now, I'm going to spoil the end of this quickly, so if you haven't seen that yet, maybe pause this video, go check it out and come back. But what the player did was they played a Shadow Self that they didn't want to use. And they played Shadow Self just so that they could play one last job. To purge Shadow Self, to steal a single Ember, and doing that literally won them the game. They were going to lose. They stole 1 Ember. Their opponent couldn't forge a key. Their opponent couldn't then stop them forging a key, and they won. It really was that single stealing Ember that won them the game. And that's what Pocket Universe does. Because when you go to forge a key, you can spend it from your pool and Pocket Universe or Safe Place. So you still have that Ember. It's still available to use. You can still forge your keys, but you can stop your opponent stopping you forging a key. Now, the ideal situation here is that all your Embers on there, and then your opponent can't take any of it. But if we go back to have a quick look at the cards, action, move 1 Ember from your pool to Pocket Universe. So you have to have kind of had 6 logos turns, but bearing in mind it goes down exhausted, so it's actually 7. So 7 turns to move 6 Ember over here. That's either the slowest game ever, or you're not doing very well. Or you're just really picking logos every turn. But this can just protect 1 or 2 of your Ember, and that can make all the difference here. Now, there is a huge, gigantic downside to this. We talked about capturing earlier with cards like Charette. And the rule with captured Ember or Ember on a creature is, when that creature is destroyed or otherwise leaves play, the Ember on that creature goes to the other player. But the rule with a non-creature, like Pocket Universe or Safe Place, when that card leaves play, the Ember goes to the common pool. So if your opponent is able to get rid of the artifact, that means that you lose the Ember. Not you have to get it back in a turn or 2, because even captured Ember, it's not the end of the world. When a Shrek comes down and steals 3 of your Ember, it's annoying. But at some point, it's a 4-power creature without elusive. At some point, you're going to take it down, you're going to get rid of it, and you're going to get that Ember back. That is not the case with something like Pocket Universe. So if you're playing against Untamed and your opponent drops a Grasping Vines and makes you return the artifact to your hand, it goes away. Or your opponent is playing Brobnar and they go about using a bit of the old barehanded, putting each artifact on the top of its owner's deck, you lose that Ember. So make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen. These are very, very risky cards. One of the answers, there was a Facebook post about this made by David Gale, who I assume is a lovely man. And one of the responses there was essentially, the best use for this is wishing it was a different logos card. I can see that. I can see why people would want that. But this could also be, if used correctly, a phenomenal card. Or with Safe Place, a phenomenal pair of cards. And if you can just go ahead and keep using these and keep stashing Ember, then that's 1 fewer Ember that your opponent can steal. 1 fewer Ember that something like Effervescent Principle is going to lose. I mean, if you've got 2 Ember, you can use Pocket Universe and then Effervescent Principle, and you don't lose any Ember at all. That's really quite cool. So I do like these cards, and I do think there's a use for them, but I do understand they're fiddly, awkward cards. And if you're against a deck that's playing Artifact Hate, you could end up using your own artifact to lose yourself Ember. Maybe that's not the best plan ever. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to know what you use these for. I'd like to know your stories. So if you've got either of these cards and you've got some stories, let me know in the comment section. And also, please do let me know which other cards from Call of the Archons you would like me to make a video about in this vein. Go nuts, please. But be nice, please. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about Keyforge and a bunch of other games. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.